What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Retro Review. I'm Kevin, the Bearded Geek. We have Mikey the Freak, and
So,
back is Bebo. Today we are going to be going over National Lampoon's Vacation. This is from 1983. The IMDb description states the Griswold family cross-country drive to the Wally World theme park proves to be much more arduous than they ever anticipated. Mikey, tell us a little bit about this movie.
opening scene starts out several postcards through the entire country. So you know this is going to be a family film where they're going to try to visit as much as possible, coming from Chicago to California to Wally World. One of the postcards was very iconic and nostalgic because it was from Gatorland theme park, which is actually less than an hour from us. So pretty exciting to actually see something that we can say, hey, I've been at that location.
Right,
Uh,
right.
so, so I thought that was pretty cool of the opening scenes. Um, One of the big scenes where we see Rusty and Clark show up to trade in their car because they need a valuable and a reliable car to travel all the way across the country. So they meet up with Eugene Levy, which was another iconic actor from the 80s, from his SCTV days. And they bring him a car that he didn't order. He ordered a blue sports wagon that he's very excited about. And they end up bringing him a metallic P Wagon Queen family truckster, which everyone knows this is the iconic station wagon from the movie. Anytime anybody sees it, they know that it's National Lampoon's Vacation. Just one of those nostalgic cars.
Iconic.
So
Very iconic.
very, very iconic. So we come to it to where he's pissed already. He puts his foot down. I don't want this car. Give me my blue car, or give me my car back, or give me the blue car. And scene cuts out to where they're already smashing his old car. So he's like, okay, well, I'm stuck. So they bring his car back. He can't get into it because it's the size of a pancake. It's about this big. So he has to drive it home. So the funny part about that is when he gets to the house and they're like, oh yeah, um, you were supposed to get, what about the blue station wagon, the sports wagon we were supposed to get? Oh, no, no, no. I didn't want that old thing. I wanted this metallic P wagon family truckster. So no matter what happened and what went wrong, he would always say that no, this is his decision. He did it this
Right.
way. It should have came out that way. So just that opening scene shows that he is going to be like, he's going to have issues the whole way. So that kind of sets pace for the entire movie. We go back into um, the first city that they stop in on the road is St. Louis. So they end up taking the wrong exit. And they're like, well, as long as we get back to the
Yeah.
interstate, it's fine.
What's the
And they
matter
end
as
up,
long as we get over the river, right?
as long as they get over the river. So no, they run into the worst part of St. Louis ever. Which a cool, interesting fact, just to kind of bring it up, that was one that Harold Ramis did not want to put in the movie because he felt it was very stereotypical and racial. But he ended up leaving it in there. He didn't want to depict the African American community of St. Louis in that area that way, because he gets his rims stolen off the car. He asked for directions. It cost him $10, and he still doesn't even get the directions. Um, so the funny quotable part of that scene, which was cool, was he's like, "Oh yeah, we're fine, no big deal." He hears the gunshots and he goes, "Roll them up,
Roll them up.
roll them up."
Roll them up.
All right, so out of St. Louis, they go through. I've got them back in now. They are in Dodge City, Kansas. So kind of depict the entire movie, and I don't have to go into a lot of detail and drag this out. They visit several different cities along the way. After Dodge City, Kansas, every city that they actually go to, they always have some kind of issue. Um, from think that something they think they're going to go right to something that goes completely wrong. So as they're actually going through, after Dodge City, Kansas, there is the red Ferrari, the infamous Christy Brinkley red Ferrari.
Introducing Christy Brinkley, as a matter of
Yes,
fact.
yes. So this is where, when he sees Christy Brinkley in this red Ferrari on a couple different occasions throughout the movie, he forgets he even has a family. He wants to be young again. So he thinks that she is all about him and he's all about her, and he ends up going too fast in one scene. Another scene, he tries to speed up next to her on the other side of on the left hand side of her, and almost gets hit by a semi. Comes back over, and he's sweating. He's going too fast, and so Ellen starts yelling, "Why are you sweating? Just slow down! Stop! What are you doing?" So, kind of funny that he completely forgets about what's going on, where he's at, who he's with, and tries to think that there's a whole different world other than his reality. So they show up and they finally meet. We're introduced to Coolidge, Kansas, which is home to Cousin Eddie.
Yes,
So
the famous
cousin Eddie.
Famous Cousin Eddie. Played by, I'm sorry, my mind just went blank.
Randy Quaid.
Jesus, yeah. Yes. Thank you, sir. So played by Randy Quaid. I don't know why I didn't remember that.
Yeah,
so come to the fact, we finally meet Randy Quaid, and he is the complete opposite on what Clark is. Just slum, got 50,000 kids. They're all hoodlums and troublemakers.
Weed smokers and porno magazine having kids. That's all these are.
They completely introduce Audrey and Rusty to a world they've never seen before. And they're like, "Oh, wow, you can do this? That's pretty awesome." So bad luck. They end up meeting also Aunt Edna. So the infamous Aunt Edna that hates and despises Clark. So she calls him Claude on several different occasions. So basically, the good news, there's a couple cool scenes within that picnic that they have right there at the house. They're just anything that you can think about that these kids are just unrefined.
Hillbillies. They're hillbillies.
Hillbillies, straight up hillbillies, Midwest hillbillies.
Yeah.
With cousin Vicky actually stirring the Kool-Aid with her arm and not using a spoon, which was pretty funny.
Yeah, that was funny, actually.
So, so they meet Aunt Edna, and the good news is Aunt Edna's coming with them to Phoenix, Arizona, on their way. And Clark is like, "Great, this is not what I signed up for. We're supposed to stay here for dinner and leave the next morning."
Not just Aunt Edna.
Yes, the dog. The dog had to come with them too.
Yeah, the dog who don't like anybody.
Anybody just sits there, bites on the ankles anytime you're near him.
So the funny thing is, the dog has to go on the same road trip, and it's funny, you never see the dog in the car with them. Like he's always probably in the very, very back lying down or something, but you never see them until they stop and they got to get the dog out. So one of the first couple stops after they got Aunt Edna, the rest area picnic, which is we meet the red Ferrari again. She's over there hobnobbing with some of the truck drivers, and Clark sees him. She sees him. He sees her. Starts to eat the sandwich and realizes that the whole picnic basket is wet because the dog pissed on the sandwiches. So and
Everybody,
it's like
my favorite part about that though is that everybody's sitting there throwing away the sandwiches except for Aunt. And she just shrugs her shoulder and starts eating the sandwich.
I ain't going hungry. Shit.
yeah, man. If she's hungry, who cares? She'll eat it. So after that, we show up to South Fork, Colorado. So they're almost there. They're a little bit farther than halfway. South Fork, Colorado was the tent scene where they rent the tents by the river, the Colorado River. Kind of want to have that outdoor type living. The place is a wreck. You meet Brian Doyle Murray, another a good actor from the 80s as well. But it's the place is just trash. It's again, they think it's going to be great, and everyone smells every tent smells. They want to get a dip in the pool, and it's green, we're swimming with ducks. So they're like, great. They're it never lives up to their expectations. No matter where they go, it's always something. So this is the infamous scene where they're leaving South Fork, Colorado, and they have to tie the dog to the bumper while he's loading the car. And you guys know what happens. They get down the road and they get pulled over by the cops. Somehow they have no clue what's going on. Clark is like, well, if I was speeding, officer, I apologize. I'll slow down, whatever it is. And the cop is, a real dick to him because when they walk to the back of the bumper, there's a leash on the dog. Yeah. So as you can see, yeah. So he's so upset. The cop's upset. Clark is kind of happy inside. So he's kind of like, oh yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. It was awesome. It was awful. And he's kind of
accident. Yeah, it was an accident.
He's grinning underneath his smile, or underneath his upset. He's actually grinning in his face.
Yeah.
I just loved it when he got back into the car, and Edna's sitting there going, "Were you speeding again, Clark? Is that why you got pulled over?"
Like, no, Edna.
And Rusty's like, "No, that's not why you got." And he's like, "Yes." And he's like, "You listened to your mother." "Yes, I was speeding." And then the officer comes up and goes, "Here's the leash, sir. I'm going to go back for the rest of the carcass."
Yeah.
So again, he's trying to lie to everybody and be like, no, there's nothing wrong. I'm good. Yes, I was speeding, and he gets thrown under the bus by the cop.
Everybody seemed to know, but Aunt Edna.
They did not want Edna to know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they didn't want Edna to know at all, because that's that was her favorite dog, right? So they get back. And one thing that's so cool when they visit, they see the Colorado River, they see, they go to South Fork and you see the mountains. They visit Grand Canyon. The views driving cross country, the views are amazing that they show in this movie because they actually did the road trip with them. So they filmed in several different locations as they went. So it makes you want to take your family on a road trip just to see the sights. No flights, no planes, just driving and actually seeing what it is in the car.
Right.
So now we go to the Grand Canyon scene. So we are they lose their credit cards because they hit a bump in the road, and I missed the infamous scene to where before this they run off the road, the infamous jump scene.
Yes.
So he's lost. He has no clue where he's going. He ends up thinking, "Oh no, the road's not closed. I haven't seen nobody in miles. If the road's closed, they put up signs like this." And it's a huge sign that he rails through and jumps it like 50 yards. And he's so proud of it. He's like, 50 yards. Oh, that's pretty cool.
That's not something to be proud of, Russ.
Yeah, exactly.
50 yards.
So at that point, when they jump the car, he has to walk through the desert. Oh, it's like, oh, there should be a gas station around here. No big deal. So again, his expectations are high that he's going to find something pretty quick. The car will be driving along, no problem. Cut to the next scene. He's all excited. He's got energy. Cut to the next scene. He's about to die.
Yeah.
He's about to die. He's like,
The
oh
desert-
my God, water. Oh
Desert's
my
about to
God.
get him. Yeah.
Yeah. So he does find the gas station, and lo and behold, a record did show up and pick up the kids and Aunt Edna, and he's so excited to see them, and then they rip him off because the person that fixed the car is the sheriff as well.
And he can do whatever he wants. Just
He
takes
can do
all his
whatever
cash,
he wants
yep.
to. It is the smallest town. It doesn't matter. He can do whatever he wants. He takes pretty much all his cash. So at that point, they're out of money, and they go back and they're trying to dig in. Okay, we're out of money. We got no credit cards. See how much cash you got. So apparently, no one has any cash. They dig through Aunt Edna's purse. Come to find out, Edna tries to wake up, and she's dead.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. She
So
passed away.
Don't know how long she's been dead, but apparently it's been a while. Yeah.
So they stop the car and everybody gets out, and they're like, "What do we do? Let's put her on the hood. Let's put her on top of the car. It's not like it's gonna rain.
She can't be more than 90 pounds.
Yeah, it's not like it's gonna rain. Very next scene, pouring
Rain.
down rain.
Pouring down rain. And what's cool about that scene is with the car and Aunt Edna on the top. I've been to several Comic Cons and car shows to where someone has a green Volkswagen, might not be the green family truckster, but they have the Volkswagen, and they have a rocking chair up top, and they have a mannequin shaped like they tied it in luggage to make it look like the car from Vacation. So I've seen that, and it's actually pretty awesome to see that as well. So it's kind of a breaking point. At this scene, Edna's dead. They try to drop her off at cousin Normie's. Of course, Normie's not home. He won't be back till Monday, and he knew they were coming. They should have been there that same day. So he also didn't want Aunt Edna and said, "Screw it. Aunt Edna can stay with Clark. I'm not going to be there." So they're on the road, and everybody wants to go home now. Oh, this is a breaking point for Clark. Clark completely snaps.
No, he snaps at this point. He's gone.
All he wants to do is make it to Wally World. He wants his family vacation at Wally World.
And they're going to be so happy. They're going to be singing Zippity Doo Dah out of their fucking assholes.
I think that scene was probably my favorite, just when she's like, "What do you think? I think you're all out of your fucking minds." Something like that. And he just starts going off on a rant. And I'm like, yeah, that I would have broken down about that probably about a third of the way through the movie. He made it a good way through.
Yeah, so go ahead.
They leave Aunt Edna there on the in the rain, in a chair by the back door. They at least put an umbrella with her so she won't get completely wet anymore. So after that, they end up making it to California, right? To Wally World. They're driving through the big Wally World arches, which look suspiciously like other arches from around our area. They go through that.
Well, let's go back. Go back
Okay.
to the infamous motel scene, to where he finally gets to talk to Christy Brinkley, the red Ferrari girl.
Yes.
So he wears his white shoes that cousin Eddie gave him in Kansas. He thinks he's hot shit. He had a fight with Ellen. He's like, you know what? Screw it. I'm gonna go pick up some chicks. So he thinks he's hot shit. He goes and talks to a couple girls. One blows him off. The other one, the guy comes and sits down right next to him. He's like, "What are you doing?" So he's like, "Oh." So he talks to her, and he's like, "Well, I like to have fun. So what do you do?" So he's like, "Oh yeah, I was an FBI agent. I don't like to talk about it." So he plays himself up
Now,
bigger than
now
what he
I own
actually
this
is.
hotel. I own a chain of them.
2,700 locations
Yeah.
and blah blah blah. It's like, what are you going? So he's trying to impress her. He wants to make himself out bigger than what he actually is. And like I said before, the whole movie is him trying to live out a fantasy that he doesn't want to be married. He wants to be with this girl. He wants to be young again. But reality sets in when she wants to go skinny dipping. He's like, hell yeah, let's do it. This is crazy. This is crazy. This is crazy. He jumps in and it's freezing cold. So he wakes up the whole entire hotel. She's like, hey, Ellen walks out and question him. Who's that? Well, honey, this I jumped in, and she was here, so she scared me. So he's trying to lie the whole time, so he didn't get caught trying to skinny dip with a different woman. So everybody sees that, and then he ends up having a good conversation with Russ and tells Russ that that was a room service, and she took her order, took their order, and he's like, yeah, do you think Mom will buy it? And he's like,
good talk, Russ.
So good talk, Russ. So that was all. That was a pretty funny scene. So yeah, then and after that scene, absolutely, they finally make it to Wally World. They're driving up, and you see the gates. It says Wally World, and you have the entrance where where you pay to get in, and there's no cars as they're driving up, and then they park in the last damn parking spot of this big ass
open area.
Guys, if you've ever been to a theme park, Universal or Disney, I don't care if you're the first person there. You're not parking in the last damn spot. I don't care who you are. You're not parking.
You're parking up front.
Yeah. So what's the philosophy? Well, Russ, if everyone's trying to fight in, we were the last one in. Everyone's trying to fight to get out. We'll be the first ones out. And he's like, oh yeah. No, he was an idiot. Absolutely not. You're not going to park.
And then you have the slow race scene all the way up to the entrance.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they got to play Chariots of Fire. Da, 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 da. So they make that scene very climactic because the family's made it. They, at this point you don't know it's closed.
Right.
Until you get up to the goddamn front and
there's the damn moose.
You're like, they drive 2,700 miles and the park's closed. And at this point, there were telephones in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
I would have called them to make sure they were open before I drove 2,700 miles. They don't have the internet. It's 83.
No, that's true.
So you can't check online to see if it's closed. But yeah, I would have picked up a phone and said, hey, I'm making a trek out there, and they would have told you it was closed. But you wouldn't have a movie. So yeah. So
Clark loses
that's another
at this
funny
point.
scene.
Yeah.
Clark totally snaps. He packs everybody back into the car. He hauls ass out of there. He parks at a gas station, goes to the sporting goods store across the store, comes back out, hauls back, gets everybody back in the car, goes back, and walks straight in. pulls a gun out on the security guard, said, "Hey, we drove all this way. You're taking it. Where's the rides? We're going on some rides."
The infamous security guard played by none other than John Candy.
Yes.
Yes.
And calls him Mr. Grizzle.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mr. Grizzle. The moose out front should have said you're closed.
I love how John Candy was acting in this movie.
Yes.
It was really nerdy, but not overly nerdy.
Mm-hmm.
Very inept cop.
It was literally the way he was talking, though, which is what just gave it. It was just I'm sorry, sir, but
the moose out front should let you know that park was closed.
And what I loved is he's like, "Can I have your name, sir?" And he's like, "Yeah, Clark Griswold." And he checks like 3 pages, and as you see him lifting it up, there's nothing on any of those damn pages. It's literally a blank legal notepad, and he's just doing this 3 pages, and there's nothing on any of the pages. It's like, well, I would have gotten a notice about that, sir.
So he pulls out the gun. Another cop comes out and makes him roll over, stay.
Roll over.
But anyway, they end up going on all these roller coasters with Clark holding the guy at gunpoint. By the end, the John Candy says, "That's not a real gun, is it? It's a pellet gun." It's like, no, it's a gun. So
It wouldn't even break the skin.
Yeah, it won't even break the skin. It won't even break the skin, you know. It'll hurt. It'll really hurt. I'm going to report you. So he goes to get up off the roller coaster, and Chevy Chase shoots him in the ass. Makes him sit back down and says, "Oh, these are company issued pants. You're going to pay for
He's worried about the pants, not the hole in his ass right now.
Yeah. So by this time, FBI, or not FBI, but SWAT has just completely surrounded the place. They come off a ride and they're getting ready, I guess, to go to another ride, and they get held up, put their hands against the wall, stuff like that. And the owner of the park, was it Walt?
Roy Wally.
Yeah, Roy Wally comes
Wally.
out, drives up, says, "What's going on here? What's going on?" And Chevy's like, "Hold on, I think I can explain everything. We drove all this way." He basically befriends the guy. You know, he shit talks his way to becoming this guy's kind of like friend. And the guy's like, "I'm not pressing charges."
And then they all end up, including all of the members of SWAT, they all end up on the roller coaster.
On the roller coaster. End of movie. I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
okay.
that was it, yeah.
Okay.
But what good part about that scene too is he's trying to build their confidence and build their faith in them, and he's like, "Russ, do you remember where I told you where I asked you where we were going to go? Where do you want to go for a family vacation?" He's like, Hawaii, Dad. Shut up, Russ.
Shut up, Russ.
Audrey, do you remember what you're telling me? Wally World, Dad. Wally World, Dad. Like he was so adamant, so excited, and trying to build that excitement up that he wanted to convince Roy Wally that they're not terrorists, that he just wanted to have fun and ride roller coasters, and you would do that with your family as well. It's like, what would happen if you drive down to Florida and Florida's closed? Well, they don't close Florida, but I know. So yeah, so absolutely amazing ending to that movie.
And I've got some trivia here if you guys want to hear it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yes.
Let's do it.
So apparently when they were filming the stuff inside Wally World, when everybody was sick, or I mean everybody was on the roller coasters, it made everybody sick because they had to ride those coasters so much. Chevy Chase mentions in a commentary that the rides made him and other cast members vomit. Dana Barone mentioned that the coasters made her so sick that she actually had to take motion sickness pills in between the takes, and that they were all laying on benches. Anthony Michael Hall in the Wally World scenes, because he grew 3 inches during the final shooting there. Through most of it, he's about the same size as Beverly D'Angelo, but in those last scenes, he's actually taller than her. So they had to try and do stuff to, make that happen. For the brief part that John Candy played in this movie, and this is back in the day, he actually was paid $1 million for that appearance.
Oh my God!
In '83.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of money. The lady Imogene Coca, who is the lady who played Aunt Edna, she actually originally turned down the role because she didn't think she could portray such a mean character. Pretty sure she got over that.
Yeah.
And Chevy Chase and James Keach, who was the officer who pulled him over for the dog, they said that during that scene, both he and Chevy were legitimately tearing up, and that Chevy consistently biting his lips and his shortness of breath were genuine, all because they were trying so hard to contain themselves from laughing, not because they thought it was sad.
And what was cool when you talk about that, to go back and you talk about Anthony Michael Hall being taller than Beverly D'Angelo, that wasn't the original ending to the movie.
Yeah, the original ending was something that did not test well with the audiences, so they actually had to go back and reshoot that ending, which is why he was so much taller.
Yeah, they actually kidnapped Roy Wally, and they went to his house and held him hostage. Instead of going from Wally World to go get the gun, they went to his house and held him hostage. And yeah, you're right. They actually tested that. And what Chevy Chase said is he still has the original VHS with that ending on it
Nice.
at his house.
Or you could just watch Christmas Vacation and
Yeah,
same thing.
same thing.
With Brian Doyle Murray, which is in that movie as well.
The scene where Clark kind of dances with the sandwich when he's trying to flirt with Christy Brinkley. His little send-off speech to God when they drop off Aunt Edna, and Rusty's like chugging of the beer when he has his man-to-man talk. All of that was improvised. Let me see. Apparently, Imogene Coca, who played Aunt Edna, actually suffered what is believed to have been a stroke during production. And said that Harold Ramis said that they filmed a scene that morning, and by that afternoon, she couldn't remember anything they did. And after getting out of the hospital, she and her husband worked together to relearn her lines and get her back on set to finish the movie.
Is that why they put her on top of the car?
Probably.
I'm sorry, that was wrong. That was wrong.
That was so bad.
Now, what's real funny is that Wally World,
the
theme park for Wally World is actually Six Flags Magic Mountain in Valencia.
Oh, I'd love to go. I've never been.
So, what are you guys, Brian, what is your final views basically on this movie?
For its time, I think it was a great movie. A lot of hysterical, just going throughout the entire thing. A lot of hysterical laughter made by audience members. I can tell because even today, watching it, you bust out laughing. You can't help but doing it. I still feel that the most underrated character in the entire movie is the damn car. As much as that family went through, that car got tore the hell up during this trip.
Yeah, it went through hell.
But my favorite thing is the car is you've got two sets of headlights stacked on top of each other. The gas cap is on the hood.
Yeah.
And he's trying to sit there and think he can't find it. He's gone to both sides of the back of the car where it should be. And then he sees this old gremlin or something pull up next to him, and they lower down the tailgate, or not the tailgate, the license plate, where that used to be on some cars. He tries to take his down, breaks off the damn license plate.
Yep.
He wasn't supposed to throw that license plate. He was supposed to just take it off, and it actually slipped out of his hands and almost hit the actress on the other side. So his reaction was genuine when he threw it. So that was funny.
It was a great scene. I do think that this particular movie, I don't think it could be redone today. I don't think we have the actors with the comedic style to be able to do it.
Well, you know what? I'll take that back. I think this type of movie can be done today, just in a different way. Maybe not the exact same style, but it can be done today.
Well, I feel like they've tried to do it with stuff like "Are We There Yet?" and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just you're even if you did remake it, you're not going to get anywhere near the comedic genius that this movie was today. So can they remake it? Absolutely. Should they remake it? In my opinion, no. I think you need to just leave this one alone.
I'm in agreement with that. I'll agree with that.
And what about you, Mikey? What do you think?
So there are several different remakes of this movie from what you were saying, like, Are We There Yet? There's always a cross-country family that has some kind of issues, whether they drive for a family reunion, they're driving to the next state, or they're trying to drive cross-country. This movie was kind of the start and the epitome of the Chevy Chase, Beverly D'Angelo vacation era. With Christmas Vacation, European Vacation, as well as Vegas Vacation. So they've done the same type of movie. What frustrated me with this one, which I can understand why, is they didn't use any of the same Rusty or Audreys in any of the four movies. They always changed. The only one that they actually used the same exact Audrey Griswold was in Christmas Vacation 2, which was Cousin Eddie's island adventure. So Dana Barron, that was in this vacation movie, shows up as Audrey again in Christmas Vacation 2. So I thought that was kind of interesting on how her coming back and reprising that role. And then they had the sequel, the remake type sequel with Ed Helms and in Vacation, which was basically a remake of this movie, but as Rusty being his own family and trying to go cross country in the blue car van, whatever the hell that thing was from hell. So they show more emphasis in that movie. They show more emphasis on the vehicle than they do in this one. This movie, the vehicle was just ugly as hell and was not something you wanted to be seen driving at all. So in the new one, it was kind of gadgets and gizmos. So yeah, they've had sequels and they've had somewhat remakes with the same type characters. But if they tried to make it again, they would have to do it that route. In 2015, when they did the Vacation with Ed Helms, it's only been 6 years ago. They basically tried to remake it. So if they tried to do it like this year or the next couple years, I think they've done enough to the Christmas Vacation, European, and all that. The Chevy Chase era vacations are over. So I don't think they should make a movie like that with even him reprising his role anymore. I think he's probably done with that character. So I don't think they should make any more of that genre again. Yeah. I think they've kind of burned it out now.
All right, let's give ratings on a scale from 1 to 10. Bebo, where would you rate this movie?
For me, I'd probably give it a 7 out of 10 for myself. Just because, is it a good movie? Yes, it is very funny. It's more of a nostalgia type thing at this point. I don't know if necessarily the entire thing holds up the way it should. So that's why I would give it a 7 out of 10.
All right. Mr. Freak, what would you give this movie?
I'm in the same boat as Brian, probably around the 7.5. Just because I'm a huge Chevy Chase fan, if anybody knows me personally. Every one of his movies always has that slapstick falling down type corny ass comedy that he does. Sometimes you have to understand it to get it right, and get the punchline. But I give him the credit for this movie because he had some serious flops before he made this movie in '83. So, and coming out of Saturday Night Live as well, he needed a hit, and I think Harold Ramis put Chevy Chase back on the map with this hit.
I agree.
Coming out of this as well. So, I say 7.5. Funny scenes. Some of it gets kind of serious scenes, and that was tough for Chevy Chase to do in the 80s. So, just comedic value, I give it the 7.5. But that's basically the reason why. Comedic value, and it's Chevy Chase.
I am going to give this a worse score than both of you.
Thanks a lot, Dick.
I'm going to give this a middle of the road 5. It had its good spots, but I found watching this movie today not holding up. I felt that it was just hard for me to watch through it. I found myself not being able to it not holding my attention. I found this movie not being able to hold my attention as well as other movies that we've previously reviewed. It does have its funny spots. It does have its iconic moments. That's why I'm going to give this a right down middle of the road 5. I can't give it any worse than that because it wasn't a horrible. It did have its funny movies, but 5 is about as much as I can give it. That's just my opinion.
It's all good.
All right, everybody. I think that does it for this episode of Back to the Retro Review. So for Bebo, Mikey the Freak, I'm the Bearded Geek saying keep it retro.
See ya.